So hi, welcome to the Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Meg.
And there's some questions today about our new EP, Rom Com Pop. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to it so far?
It's been really exciting. It's kind of crazy. Today I woke up and saw that I'm the cover of the Fresh Finds playlist on
Nice.
Spotify.
Hell yeah.
It's like nuts. Literally so cool. Yeah, it's been really cool. I think there's, the little community that I've grown. They've been waiting for the EP for a little while. I've been like talking about it for probably over a year at this point. So it's really fulfilling to finally have it out in the world.
Oh yeah. Well, it rocks.
I hear that.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Of course.
So is there any meaning behind the EP title or cover art?
Yeah, so I came up with the title of the EP probably right when I started writing the project. A friend of mine, a songwriter, I was playing her some like demos of songs I was thinking about putting on the project. And she was like, they sound like an early 2000s rom-com soundtrack. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then very quickly I was like, rom com pop. Like, that's what I'm going to call my music. It just like felt really like it was like, it's like a cute little, like it sounds like a little song, Rom Com Pop. So I knew that for a while. And luckily everyone around me, all of my collaborators and stuff were like, yeah, sounds good. I was like, cool, awesome. And then with the cover art itself, again, it was really weird where we had the cover art for the EP, maybe even before any of the songs were actually out. We weren't planning on making the cover art during that photo shoot, but I was with some good friends, Gary and Mitch. They have a production company called Voodoo Visuals that are the coolest. And we were just doing, like, it was our first time meeting each other. We're just doing like a little photo shoot in their apartment. And we took a photo that we thought looked like a license picture. And we were kind of joking about it, that like if I had to redo my license photo, it would probably look like that, like all glittery and pink and sparkly and silly. Mm-hmm. So I just like brought out my license and we put like stickers all over it and started taking pictures. And it was funny. I was like, I've never wanted to get pulled over more when I was driving home and like have it like, cause it had like the jewels on it. And I was like, that'd be sick. Like if I was like, oh, you need my license here, and it's like full of
flashed
glitter.
Out, yeah.
Definitely not legal.
No.
No. Not at all.
But yeah, it just like came together really seamlessly, and they sent me the photoshopped image, and I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. So it was, yeah, usually I feel like I come into shoots and stuff having like a very specific image in my head of what I want, but this just like happened and it worked out perfectly, which was awesome.
Are you always that ahead of the curve where like everything is kind of fleshed out ahead of time? No? Okay.
Well, this is what I will say. Everyone who knows me like knows I'm a spreadsheet girl. Okay. I love a spreadsheet. I love to plan. I'm like it's weird because I'm so like, obviously like I'm a creative, I'm a musician, but I'm very like type A in a lot of ways. So that is where I think things become very planned, but I'm also like an indie artist with like a $0 budget. Yeah. So when you're like, okay, I need cover art, the budget is like -$50 and I have 2 days. Mm-hmm. Like, what are we going to do? And luckily, like, I feel like I've always had that, like, we're just going to figure it out mindset. Like, we need to edit a video. Great. Let's figure out how iMovie works, like that kind of a thing. But I also have like a lot of really talented friends who can step in and help me in ways that, do things that I can't do and I'm not good at. So it's a bit of both, a lot of planning, but then there's obviously things that come up and you're like, okay, I just have to figure it out.
Fair enough.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the CP?
Yeah. I wrote it like really out of order. I think, well, except for You Make Bad Things Not Suck. I wrote that. That was my first session with this amazing producer named Will Daly. And then he ended up producing the whole EP. And it was one of those things that fell into place where there was no conversation about it. There was no like, okay, like you're going to be the producer. It was just all the songs that I did with him. I was like, that's my favorite song. Perfect. And again, he's so like, go with the flow. Like, okay, like we need the final mix in 2 days. Like, can you do it? And he's like, I got you, Wow. But yeah, the writing process was really different every time. And I think when you work with one person so much, you lose that filter. So we could be really honest with each other. And like, he knows my life. He knows everyone in it. So I could come into a session and be like, this is this text that I just got. Like, can we talk about it, or just whatever it was. And I think that helps a lot. And those are probably why those ended up being my favorite songs, is because all those songs, I just came in and I was like, this is what's happening in my life. And it wasn't, I wasn't coming in with any, I don't know, like, oh, I have to write a love song today or whatever it was,
Fair enough.
Gotcha. So what is your favorite lyric off this EP and what does it mean to you?
Oh my God. What a great question.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't know if this counts as a full lyric. I would say there's two. I would count it as one big lyric, the chorus of all the things you'd ruin. That's just the list of all the things that would be ruined if things didn't work out. So that was just so fun to write, because we were like, you can say anything. Like, we can say anything we want and it can be random and not make sense. So like take out, making out, karaoke, my couch, like that whole thing. And it's been fun because I actually had someone DM me recently, because it's take out, making out, karaoke, my couch, night shifts, Taylor Swift.
Mm-hmm.
And she DM'd me and she was like, oh, night shifts. Are you talking about like the Lucy Dacus song? Like that song would be ruined for you. And I was like, no, but I love that. Because cool. I love that song. I was just thinking about like working late, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was really cool. But that's a lot of words, so I don't know if that counts as one lyric. But I also really love I've always been painfully realistic, but now I'm cautiously optimistic. I was excited about that one.
That's a good one.
Hell yeah. So where was your headspace at while you're writing this EP?
I was falling in love, which you can probably tell.
A little bit.
Like, it's so funny because I had never like written a love song, because like it sounds boring. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're like, we have so many in the world. Mm-hmm. What am I going to say that's going to be interesting or feel exciting, And it wasn't my intention either. But, you come into these sessions, especially when you're working with friends, and, you're like, okay, what's going on in my life? And if you're dating someone new and you're excited about them, like, you want to just talk about them all the time. And that was kind of what I did, is I just wanted to talk about them all the time and write songs about them all the time. And, which, yeah, again, like, really wasn't my intention going into it. I was not expecting this to be 4 love songs on an EP. Especially because the song I released right before this EP was called Fuck Friday and was about how I was like chronically single and like the single one out of all of my friends. Yeah. And then like immediately it was like, oh shit. And then I couldn't stop writing love songs.
Love.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, literally. And I was being so annoying about it, but it was also like so fun to be so annoying about it. And like, you have to, like, I didn't date in high school. Like, this was my first love. So like, you want to just like be so annoying about it. Yeah. And it was fun.
Absolutely. It's funny that like you were like, I'm the single one, and then here's just 4 songs about how in love I am. The irony.
No, it really was. I think I really tempted fate with that one. I was like, oh, it's so hard being single. And like immediately, like truly, like before Fuck Friday even came out, I think I met him, and then I was like, well, here we go.
Damn, gotta put it out anyway.
Brand.
Yeah. So, how do you recommend your fans to listen to this EP for the first time? Should they play it in the car with friends, dark with headphones on? Should they blast at a party, work out to it? What do you personally recommend?
I think my dream would be listening in the car with friends. I think I hear this as an EP that, when I'm writing these songs, I immediately think about what they're going to sound like live and almost like the community that could form around them, in person. So definitely like, also, I think part of it is because when I was listening to these songs, I'm from LA originally. And so whenever I go back to LA really often, and when I'm there, you're stuck in the car all the time. So I spend so much of my time in LA in the car listening to demos. Mm-hmm. So I had You Make Bad Things Not Suck on repeat in my car, listening to the production and the lyrics and all that. So it's a very like, and it's fucking license photo. You know what I mean? Like, it's a car EP. At least that's the way I envision it. But yeah.
All right.
I love that.
So this question should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this EP for new listeners in 3 words, no more, no less.
That's not Rom Com Pop.
No.
Oh God. Okay. I would say this EP is a little silly, mm-hmm. a little romantic, mm-hmm. and what else? Optimistic.
All right. And I would just like to say you're the first artist that's understood that has a project that is 3 words that hasn't tried to just use that title, so I appreciate that.
Yes.
Oh, you're so welcome.
So is there a certain feeling or emotion you want this EP to invoke in your listeners?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just talking about Fuck Friday, and I think so much of this EP was obviously about falling in love in that person, but even more so, I think it was about like my own personal growth that happens. I think it's so easy, especially if you're in a city like New York and you're dating, it's so easy to blame the other people when things don't work out, because most of the time it's their fault. You get ghosted, they don't show up, you're just like dealing with all of this bullshit. And so something really weird happens then when you meet someone that you really like trust and respect and love, and you start to realize like, oh, like there are habits that I have that maybe aren't the best, that I need to work on. You really have to like kind of focus weirdly on yourself in a new way. So I feel like so much of this project was me going from being like Fuck Friday, like so jaded and like annoyed and pissed off and frustrated, and going from that to like slowly becoming more and more optimistic and just like trusting a little bit more. And again, that's something that I wasn't kind of planning on writing about, but I think kind of happens in all of these songs. They're about like kind of getting over the fear of someone leaving you or rejecting you, and just like believing in them,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Was there any sort of like anxiety on your end, like putting out this like new side of yourself?
Oh yeah, I think it's such a, like, you think like every songwriter is like, oh my God, the worst thing that could happen to me is that I would be in a healthy, stable relationship. What on earth are you gonna write about? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it's like the kiss of death.
Needs to self-destruct.
No,
Exactly.
seriously. No, you're like, what the hell am I gonna write about? Like, this is horrible.
I'm happy.
But
I'm healthy. What's
No.
going on?
no, literally, you're like, this can't be good.
Yeah.
But I think something that gave me a lot of peace was that so many of my favorite albums are love albums. Like Casey Musgrave's Golden Hour, like that's an album about being in love, and those songs are amazing. And what happens is you don't fall in love and then suddenly all of your insecurities disappear and everything is perfect and everything goes well. Like, it, for me, I think even like in a weird way, like amplified my insecurities, just in that I noted I had to like focus on them and be like, oh, these are the ways in which like my insecurities are affecting the other people in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're like, I want to like actually like work on this now. And even like I feel like I was listening to a lot of like Fearless era Taylor Swift, and like so many of those songs are like a teenage girl who's like falling in love, and they're great songs. So it at first it was definitely scary, and especially because I also didn't want to feel like I was like marketing my relationship or like trying to profit off it. I was like, that's fucking weird, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted it to be like it's a love EP, it's an EP about falling in love, but it's also an EP about like how I changed through falling in love. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I don't necessarily think it's marketing though, because of like how authentic it is. It's like it's just what you're going through. So like I think you can market that without feeling bad about it,
Yeah, for sure.
So what is your favorite memory that you made while creating this EP?
One of my favorite memories was shooting the music video for Cautiously Optimistic, because whenever I had done videos in the past, I'd always felt very like stressed about them, very insecure, very like out of my element, like, but I'm also like I said, I'm so type A and I can get very like micromanagey, so it's very hard for me to just like let people do their job and do their thing. And the people I was talking about earlier from Voodoo Visuals, Mitch and Gary, who did the cover art, I wasn't planning on doing a music video for that song. And they came to me and were like, hey, we have an idea for a video. Is it cool if we make it? Like, we want to shoot it like in your childhood home in LA. And I was like, okay, cool. And like, because it was so much like their creative idea that they were bringing me in and not the other way around, it felt a lot easier to kind of let go and just let them do their thing. And I was like, worst case scenario, we don't put the video out and we had fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it ended up being amazing. It was so fun. My mom's in it, which is crazy. Like there's like a prom scene and we asked my mom, like, do you want to be like a chaperone in the prom? And she was like, yes. And she like got into it. She was like acting. It was amazing. And my sister is like an amazing, amazing, amazing costume designer. And she like thrifted this like ball gown for me to wear, and it was crazy. And she was on like, it was just nuts. It felt like very like everything just kind of came into place. Like there was a scene where I'm just like riding a bike in a ball gown, and it was so fun. Like I don't know the last time I rode a bike, you know what I mean? So it was very like community centric. Like a lot of my friends came and were extras, and it just was like very heartwarming. Like my sister cooked lunch for everyone that day, and it just felt like a big, party and like in my home, which was really fun.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour. You're at a gas station for a rest stop. You're going in. What is your snack of choice?
Hot Cheetos, 100%.
Goddamn. All right, that was quick. Do you have any drinks with that, or are you just going straight in with hot Cheetos?
100%. Hot Cheetos and root beer. Boom. Easy. Done.
Respect that. I love it.
I know what I want.
Exactly. That was perfect.
So on the topic of food, if your project was a dish, what dish would it be and why?
Ooh, my first instinct was like, the sour straws.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably like the strawberry or like blue raspberry flavored sour straws. Like she's fun. She's sour. She's a little silly, but she's sweet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. All right.
I love it. It's perfect.
Thank you.
So for these last couple questions, we're actually going to shift away from music, if that's okay with you.
Lovely. Yeah.
Perfect. So we're actually going to go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Wow. What a great question. A lot to think about. My instinct is there's this Mexican place really close to my house where I grew up that we would eat at like minimum once a week. We would be going to this place all the time. It's called Baja Buds. It's on National Boulevard. If anyone's ever in LA and you want to go to Baja Buds. And it tastes like, it tastes like home. It's like, we ate it all the time growing up, all the time. And that's usually like the first thing I eat when I get back to LA. It's the best. This is what you get. You get the 2 taco plate. Okay. Because with 2 tacos.
Okay.
No way.
I never would have guessed.
And so you get that. I do it vegetarian because I don't eat meat, but you can do whatever meat you want. It's literally so good. It comes with beans and rice, and then you get an orangina or horchata, whichever you prefer.
Love horchata.
I love horchata too. It's so good. Yeah, it's the best.
Oh yeah, all right.
Sounds great.
So if you could live in one fiction world for a week, where would you live?
Oof. Wow. Where would a fictional world? I mean, I can't say Harry Potter because like everyone's probably like, I'd go to, I was gonna say Gryffindor. That's wrong. Hogwarts.
We do get a lot of Hogwarts. Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't do that. But also like the books that I was into as a kid were the Hunger Games, and like I don't want to go there.
No.
No. Oh wow, that is such a good question. I wish I had a better answer. Maybe like, I guess I'll say Narnia.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Like I like the animals. That's fun. So yeah, just hang out with the animals in Narnia.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. I love that answer. So I have the honor of asking the last question. Every single person we've spoken to has actually said it is the most important question.
Ooh.
What is your favorite color?
You know what? I'm like looking around. It's honestly, it's like a little bluer than my eyeshadow. It's probably the color that's the background on my EP artwork. It's like between turquoise and blue.
Okay. I love that.
A bright turquoise blue. Yeah.
Nice. So as Gloria said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
God, I don't know. Listen to the EP if you want. If you like music. It's called Rom Com Pop. It's very fun. Gosh, what else? I don't know. Oh, I'm going on tour. It's like a little tiny East Coast tour. So New York, Boston, and DC. It's going to be so much fun. I'm touring with Holden Miller. It's going to be such a good time. I'm so excited. So if you live on the East Coast, come see me play some songs live. It'll be fun.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, thank you for smiling. It's been Meg Smith, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.